Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and this is Monday Night Raw's go-home show for Crown Jewel, which is this Saturday. And next week's Monday Night Raw will be a taped show. Same for SmackDown. SmackDown's show this Friday will be taped as well because the superstars will be in Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel. And Monday Night Raw tonight, I thought it was a good show in my opinion, but nothing newsworthy coming out of this show. And, since, of course, the go-home show, it didn't get us hyped for Crown Jewel this Saturday. And the Crown Jewel card is looking, pretty decent. So without a doubt, it will be a good show on Saturday. I won't be reviewing Crown Jewel because I'll be working. It has a start time of 1 o'clock here in Eastern time. But tonight on Monday Night Raw, we had Sheamus. He had taken on Ludwig Kaiser. We had Ivy Nile. She was in action. She had taken on Zelina Vega. We had the final match in the World Tag Team Championship Tournament. This was a triple threat match to determine the number one contenders who will face Finn Balor and JD McDonough for the World Tag Team Championship. So it was the Raw Raiders versus Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and the New Day. And the main event, we had Dominik Mysterio. If you remember last week, Dominik would take on a mystery opponent who was a former world champion. And that world champion, of course, turned out to be Damian Priest. We all saw it coming since last week when it was announced. So Dominik, ended up facing Damian Priest in the main event of Monday Night Raw tonight. But overall, the show as a whole, like I said, it was a good show. But nothing newsworthy coming out of it. But before I get into the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier today, I did a movie review of The Bad Seed from 1956, which starred Nancy Kelly, Patty McCormack, Henry Jones. So if you haven't seen my review of that, definitely go check it out. But really enjoyed that film. Very intense, film. It was more of a melodrama than a horror thriller film. So check out my review of that if you guys haven't seen it. But anyway, let's get right into the review. Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Mr. Yeet, Jey Uso. Of course, Jey Uso lost the Intercontinental Championship last Monday on Raw. He lost it to Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is now, once again, a two-time Intercontinental Champion. And Jey Uso came out. He was high-fiving the fans. And he kept making his way out. And he came into the ring. Fans were, cheering for Jey. They were chanting Yeet. So Jey got on the mic. He ended up saying, "Main event Jey Uso is now in your city." Jey ended up going on to say that a lot has happened over the past week. He ended up saying that he lost his Intercontinental Championship. And he had some bloodline family drama. And he had to retaliate. He ended up saying that he went to SmackDown and cost the bloodline in Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa the Tag Team Championship. That happened on Friday on SmackDown. Jey Uso went to SmackDown. He cost Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa the Tag Team Championship, which the Motor City Machine Guns are now the new Tag Team Champions. And, him and Jimmy Uso end up reuniting. And we all know where this is going to be headed. We're going to get, an old bloodline versus the new bloodline at Survivor Series War Games. That will be a men's Survivor Series War Games match. So Jey ended up saying that there is only one Uso he wants to talk to. And he knows who it is. So Jimmy Uso made his way out. Jimmy headed to the ring. We had the fans chant Uso for Jimmy. Jimmy got on the mic. He ended up saying that he's here on Monday Night Raw in the middle of the ring to look Jay face to face and eye to eye. Jimmy then thanked Jay, to which the crowd ended up cheering for that. So Jimmy ended up thanking Jay for what he did last Friday on SmackDown. Jimmy ended up saying that him and Jay need to be together to take down SIKOA and the Bloodline. So Jimmy ended up saying they aren't the ones. Jay then cut Jimmy off. He took off his glasses. And Jay ended up saying to Jimmy, they aren't the ones either. Me and him and Jimmy aren't the ones. So Jay ended up saying that the last time he saw his brother was half a year ago at WrestleMania. And they were fighting each other, which that match was absolutely awful at WrestleMania. You know, I was there and was just bored by it. So Jay ended up saying that a lot has happened since then, and that they aren't confused anymore. So Jay ended up getting the crowd to shout, "Yeet!" Jay ended up saying that he became the Intercontinental Champion by himself. He ended up saying he thinks about it, and says none of the titles top being Jimmy's twin brother. So Jimmy ended up going for a hug to Jay. Jay then pushed Jimmy back. Jay ended up saying to Jimmy that they need to fix things. He ended up saying on this go-around, they aren't anybody's side piece or yes men. They are grown men. He ended up saying that he'll be Jimmy and he'll be Jay. They'll be the Usos. So Jimmy ended up agreeing to what Jay had to say to that. So Jimmy ended up suggesting that Jay should come to SmackDown this Friday and squash the beef. Jay ended up thinking about it. He ended up saying to Jimmy, "I'll be there, Us." So Jimmy ended up asking Jay if they are both good. So before Jay could answer that, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa end up cutting Jay off. So the Usos end up taking it to Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. SIKOA was shown at ringside with Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu ended up helping Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa take out the Usos. So they tied Jimmy in the ropes. Jimmy was caught in the ropes. SIKOA slid a steel chair into the ring. Jacob Fatu picked up the chair and he put the chair around Jay's head. Jay was shown seated in the corner with the chair over his head. Jacob Fatu backed up. He charged at Jay, but Jay ended up throwing the steel chair into Jacob Fatu's face. Nice chair shot there to Jacob Fatu. So Jay then superkicked Tama Tonga off the apron. Jimmy then superkicked Tonga Loa out of the ring. Both Jimmy and Jay superkicked Jacob Fatu, but it did nothing to Jacob Fatu. So we had the Usos end up fighting back at Jacob Fatu, and they eventually superkicked Jacob Fatu out of the ring. So SIKOA ended up holding the Bloodline back. Adam Pearce ended up coming out with security and officials, and he ended up coming out with them to ensure that the Bloodline leave without further incident. And so pretty much that was basically how the segment ended. But overall, a very good opening to Monday Night Raw here. You know, Jey Uso coming out there saying that, you know, he lost the Intercontinental Championship. He had some, you know, drama in the Bloodline. And he ended up wanting to talk to Jimmy Uso. You know, Jimmy Uso ended up saying that they need to be together to take down SIKOA and the Bloodline. Which, that's the only reason why that the Usos end up reuniting to set up this match for Survivor Series War Games. But overall, good opening to Monday Night Raw here. I mean, it does seem, a little rushed to get the Usos back together. But, they did the right thing. WWE did the right thing. That, the Usos still need to work things out. But good opening. And then, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce was on the phone, and he was arguing with Nick Aldis about Nick Aldis controlling his roster. And Adam Pearce has some balls to say to Nick Aldis, oh, control your roster, when Adam Pearce doesn't control his roster on Monday Night Raw. So the Judgment Day walked up to Adam Pearce. Dominik ended up telling Adam Pearce that he is ready for a World Heavyweight Championship match. So Adam Pearce ended up saying that he doesn't have time for the Judgment Day tonight. Pearce ended up saying tonight Dominik will face a former world champion that he knows very well. And that world champion is Damian Priest. So Dominik ended up saying that he knows all of Damian Priest's tricks and can take care of him. So Finn Balor ended up saying that no one knows Priest better than him. And there's a reason why they called him the Punishment. So Dominik ended up saying to Balor that they don't believe in him. So he'll go out by himself and show them. So pretty much that was basically that. So Dominik ended up facing Damian Priest in the main event of Monday Night Raw tonight. And then we had the first match of the night. Sheamus. He ended up taking on Ludwig Kaiser. And this was a very good match here. Of course, Sheamus ended up defeating Kaiser when they last had their match on Monday Night Raw back in August. So the match got underway. Both guys locked up. Sheamus powered Kaiser to the corner. Kaiser shoved Sheamus. Sheamus shoved Kaiser back. Both guys were exchanging forearms. Kaiser ended up punching Sheamus in his head. Kaiser reversed the whip, but Sheamus ended up blocking a hip toss from Kaiser. Sheamus then started punching back at Kaiser, and he delivered a short-arm clothesline. Sheamus then lifted Kaiser up, and he had pinned a rolling fireman's carry. Sheamus then grabbed Kaiser's leg, and he ended up pulling him. But Kaiser ended up kicking Sheamus back, and Kaiser connected with a clothesline. Kaiser then hit the ropes, and he ended up pinning a sliding drop kick to knock Sheamus out of the ring. Kaiser went to ringside, and he bounced Sheamus off the ring post. Kaiser then drove Sheamus's left shoulder into the ring post a few times, and then he started clubbing Sheamus. Kaiser got in the ring to break up the ref's count. Kaiser then ended up going to drive Sheamus's shoulder into the ring post again, but Sheamus ended up blocking it. Sheamus ended up pulling Kaiser a few times into the ring post, and then he chopped Kaiser down. So Kaiser ended up getting to the ring, but Sheamus ended up pulling Kaiser back out. Sheamus ended up going for a powerbomb, but Kaiser countered that with a guillotine choke on Sheamus. Sheamus was trapped in the choke, so he ended up breaking up the choke by driving Kaiser into the steel steps. So both Kaiser and Sheamus end up rushing into the ring before they were both counted out. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. So then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Kaiser was in control of the match. He started clubbing away at Sheamus. Sheamus then delivered a Irish curse backbreaker to Kaiser. Sheamus ended up throwing some running hammers at Kaiser. He ended up going for the bro kick, but Kaiser ducked that. And Kaiser ended up pulling the top rope down to get Sheamus out of the ring. Kaiser went to the outside to attack Sheamus, but Sheamus ended up kneeing Kaiser in his face. Sheamus got on the apron. He hooked Kaiser's arms, and he delivered the 10 beats of the Botterin to Kaiser. Sheamus then headed up to the top rope for a diving clothesline to Kaiser. He went for the cover, to which Kaiser kicked out. So Sheamus ended up lifting Kaiser on his shoulders. Sheamus climbed to the second rope. Kaiser slid off of Sheamus' shoulders, and he ended up going for a powerbomb. But Sheamus held on to the ropes. Kaiser started clubbing Sheamus' back, and he powerbombed Sheamus down. Kaiser then ended up kicking Sheamus in his face. He ended up going for the cover, and Sheamus ended up kicking out. So at the end of the match, Sheamus hit the ropes. Kaiser ended up chopping Sheamus, and he ended up delivering an enziguri. Sheamus rebounded with a pump knee strike to Kaiser, and then he went for the brogue kick. Sheamus went for the cover, and there you go. Sheamus ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a very good match here between Sheamus and Kaiser. Since their last match back in August. The crowd, in my opinion, throughout the match was quiet. But still, it was a good match. And then we went to a video promo from Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley ended up saying that Raquel Rodriguez tried to paint herself as the victim. She ended up saying that when Raquel betrayed her, it was with malice and ego. Rhea ended up saying that everything she has done to her and Liv Morgan has been deserved. Liv Morgan ended up saying, "Oh, I have made mistakes in the past." She ended up saying right now it seems like Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez want to be in the cry about squad. So Rhea ended up saying that she only wants Liv for her Women's World Championship back. And so Rhea was like, "You'll have to kill her to stop her." So pretty much that was basically what Rhea Ripley had to say. But good promo from Rhea Ripley here. And then we saw the Usos, Jimmy and Jay. They were walking backstage. And SAMI ZAYN was there. Jay ended up greeting SAMI ZAYN. Sami ended up asking to talk to Jay alone. Jimmy then got in SAMI ZAYN's face, but Jay ended up telling Jimmy to back up. So Jimmy walked off, and it was just Jay and Sami. Sami ended up asking Jay if everything is fine with them after everything that Jimmy did. So Sami ended up saying to Jay, "Oh, are you going to squash the beef with Roman Reigns?" So Jay ended up saying to Sami that SIKOA is worse. So Sami ended up reminding Jay that Reigns was in his head for years. He ended up saying that he doesn't want to pick sides. Jay ended up saying that he doesn't need to get involved. And this isn't his fight anymore. So Jay ended up telling Sami ZAYN that he stepped out as a man on his own. To which Sami didn't even understand what Jay was saying. So Jay ended up saying that Sami wouldn't understand because he isn't family. So Jay ended up walking off, and Sami looked a little upset there. So that was that. But something comes into play later on, which I will get to with SAMI ZAYN. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had a video promo from Gunther, the ring general. So Gunther ended up saying that Cody Rhodes is the golden boy of this generation. He ended up saying that Cody is a gutless champion. He ended up saying that this is a champion versus champion match for the newly established Crown Jewel Championship. He ended up saying that Cody dragged the people he's closest to into his match. This time, it is Randy Orton. So Gunther ended up saying that this Friday on SmackDown, it's Cody and Orton versus him and Ludwig Kaiser. Gunther ended up telling Cody to pull Orton aside and ask what it's like to be choked out by him. He ended up saying that the same thing will happen to Cody, and he'll realize he is a secondary champion to him, to Gunther. So that was what Gunther had to say, but, good promo from Gunther here. The match between Gunther and Cody at Crown Jewel, it's going to be a good match. Both guys will deliver. And then we had Zelina Vega. She ended up taking on Ivy Nile. Zelina Vega was accompanied by Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde. Ivy Nile was accompanied by the Creed brothers, Bruce and Julius Creed. No Chad Gable out there. He was not seen. And this was a meh match here. So the match got underway. Zelina Vega ended up slapping Ivy Nile in her face. Ivy Nile ended up attacking Vega to the corner and started punching away at her. Ivy Nile ended up whipping Vega into the opposite corner, and she ended up pinning a run strike. Ivy Nile then backed up, and she charged at Zelina Vega, but Zelina Vega ended up avoiding Nile. Zelina Vega ended up knocking Ivy Nile out of the ring, and she ended up pinning a Meteora to Ivy Nile off the apron. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Zelina Vega was in control of the match. She ended up attacking Ivy Nile and knocked her back. So Ivy Nile ended up going for a suplex, but Zelina Vega countered that suplex into a stunner to Ivy Nile. Vega ended up going up to the top rope, and she ended up delivering a moonsault to Ivy Nile, to which she went for the cover, and Ivy Nile ended up kicking out. So at the end of the match, Zelina Vega ended up hitting a running knee to Ivy Nile, and the Creed brothers then distracted the ref. Julius Creed pulled Ivy Nile out of the ring. So Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde ended up brawling with the Creed brothers on the outside. So we had the Creed brothers end up beating down on Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde, and Ivy Nile ended up hitting a swinging Uranagi to Zelina Vega. So she ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Ivy Nile ended up winning the match. Overall, very meh match. A lot of clunky, sloppy spots here. It felt like Ivy Nile and Zelina Vega weren't even on the same page here. So very meh match it was. And then we saw Jey Uso. Jey Uso was in the locker room. He walked up to Jimmy, and Jey ended up saying that he told Sami Zayn he wasn't family. To which Jimmy ended up agreeing with Jey, that Sami Zayn isn't family. He ended up saying, but Jey ended up saying that Sami stepped up when Jimmy gave up on him. Jimmy ended up saying that he'll talk to Sami Zayn. Jey ended up telling Jimmy that he is worried that something bad will happen. But Jimmy ended up saying to Jey, it'll be fine. So pretty much that was basically that. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins started off hour 2, and he ended up making his way out. Got a big pop from the crowd. Everybody was going, whoa, singing along to his theme, of course. He got in the ring, and he welcomed the fans there in Hershey, Pennsylvania, to Monday Night Rollins. Rollins ended up saying that he is on the hunt for a monster in Bronson Reed. Rollins took off his sunglasses. He ended up saying that he is also a monster. He ended up saying that's a side of him that he put to bed a long time ago. Rollins ended up saying that he forgot about that side. He ended up saying Bronson Reed woke something up in his soul. So Rollins ended up saying that Bronson Reed has reminded him what he's capable of. He ended up saying that if he's being honest, he kind of likes it. So Rollins ended up saying this Sunday at Crown Jewel, and as he was about to say what he had to say, Bronson Reed appeared on the screen, and he cut Seth Rollins off. Bronson Reed ended up saying that he promised Adam Pearce that they would not have a reprieve of last week in the arena. So Bronson Reed ended up saying that if Rollins wants to hunt a monster, then he's right in the parking lot. So Rollins ended up thinking about that, and he agreed. So he agreed to meet Bronson Reed in the parking lot. So Seth Rollins left the ring. He headed up the ramp. He removed his jacket. He walked through a gorilla position to the backstage area. Adam Pearce tried to stop Rollins. Rollins ended up sidestepping Adam Pearce. Bronson Reed was taking out the security guards there. And of course, once again, Rollins and Bronson Reed started brawling just like last week, where they brawled 3 times during the show last week. So Bronson Reed ended up throwing Rollins onto the hood of a car, and he ended up slamming Rollins into some road crates. Rollins started fighting back, and he ended up slinging the door of a trailer into Bronson Reed's face. Rollins then ended up going up on the crates. He dived off the crates, and he delivered a stomp onto the car's hood to Bronson Reed. So Rollins ended up saying that the world has forgotten his capabilities, but that's just a taste. Rollins then turned around, and he saw Bronson Reed taking out the security guards. So Bronson Reed got up. He was unfazed by that stomp from Seth Rollins onto the hood of the car. So Rollins ended up going to attack Reed. Reed ended up easily knocking Rollins back. He threw Rollins into a production truck, and Reed then threw a garbage can in Rollins' face. Bronson Reed then lifted Rollins up, and he delivered a Death Valley driver to Rollins out of the production truck through the tables that were out there. And pretty much that was basically that. But really, I'm enjoying this Bronson Reed push. Bronson Reed is on fire, and really, I'm loving what they're doing with him. And it was another awesome, good segment with Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins. This is going to be one hell of a match this Saturday at Crown Jewel between Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. It's going to be a good match. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw the Alpha Academy. We saw Akira Tozawa, Otis, and Maxine Dupree. R-Truth walked up to them. R-Truth ended up saying that he likes them, without the short, ugly guy yelling at them. Of course, he was talking about Chad Gable. So The Miz walked up to R-Truth, and he apologized to Truth. He ended up saying to Truth that the Final Testament got in his head. So Miz ended up saying that he needs R-Truth more than ever. So Maxine Dupree was like to R-Truth, "Oh, don't listen to the Miz." So Miz ended up insulting the Alpha Academy, but R-Truth ended up saying that it's between the two of them. R-Truth ended up slapping hands with the Miz, and he appeared to forgive the Miz. But then he ended up punching the Miz, laying the Miz out. So R-Truth ended up wishing the Miz luck with the Wyatt Six. And R-Truth ended up walking off. And then he walked past Pete Dunne. He was like, "Hey, Butch." And Pete Dunne ended up sneering at R-Truth. Of course, Pete Dunne doesn't like to be called Butch. So we all know that Pete Dunne's probably going to be taking on R-Truth after that. And he's going to get the win over him. But that was that. I mean, do we all care about this Wyatt Six targeting the Final Testament and the Miz? I know I don't. Why should I care? Then we had the final match in the World Tag Team Championship tournament. This was a triple threat match to determine the number one contenders who will face Finn Balor and Jade McDonough for the World Tag Team Championship. So it was Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. They took on the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, and the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. And this was a solid match here. This was enjoyable. We had Ivar, Kofi Kingston, and Dragon Lee end up starting off the match. Dragon Lee and Kofi Kingston end up double teaming Ivar with some drop kicks. Kofi then end up rolling Dragon Lee up, and Dragon Lee end up kicking out. Dragon Lee reversed the whip to the corner, but Kofi ended up slingshotting over Dragon Lee. Ivar ended up hitting Kofi with a spin kick, and he avalanched Dragon Lee. Ivar then ended up hitting Dragon Lee with a Bronco Buster, but he ended up going for the cover, and Xavier Woods broke up the pin. Eric ended up taking Xavier Woods out. Rey Mysterio then ran in, and the War Raiders ended up taking Rey out. Eric and Ivar end up lawn darting Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston into each other. They lifted up Dragon Lee, and Eric and Ivar threw Dragon Lee to the outside of the ring onto the other guys that were out there. And so Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Rey Mysterio, Xavier Woods, and Eric were trading strikes. Eric ended up rocking Xavier Woods with a forearm. Rey ended up punching at Eric, but Eric ended up slamming Rey onto Xavier Woods. Ivar tagged in, and we got a double team from the War Raiders. They clubbed Rey Mysterio down. Eric tagged back in. Ivar then scoop slammed Xavier Woods, and Eric ended up scoop slamming Ivar onto Xavier Woods. He ended up going for the cover, but Xavier Woods ended up kicking out. Eric ended up grabbing Xavier Woods and ended up slinging him into Rey Mysterio. Eric ended up punching Rey, and he ended up sending Rey into the ropes. Ivar then caught Rey, but Rey ended up hitting a tornado DDT to Ivar. Rey then knocked Eric out of the ring. Rey ended up going for the tag to Dragon Lee, but Xavier Woods knocked Dragon Lee off of the apron. Woods ended up hitting Rey with a side kick. Kofi ended up wanting to tag, but Xavier Woods didn't make the tag to Kofi. Ivar then got into the ring. He ended up crushing Xavier Woods with a spin kick. Woods ended up flipping through a back suplex from Ivar, and he tagged Kofi in. Kofi then ended up hitting a springboard chop on Ivar, and he drop-kicked Rey. Ivar with a leaping clothesline, and Kofi then scoop slammed Rey next to Ivar. Kofi then ended up hitting Ivar and Rey with a double boom drop. So we had Kofi end up going for the Trouble in Paradise to Ivar. Ivar ducked that. So Kofi ended up hitting Rey with the SOS. Kofi ended up going for the cover, to which Dragon Lee ended up breaking up the pin. So at the end of the match, we had Dragon Lee end up taking Xavier Woods out with a somersault senton. We had Rey Mysterio end up going for the 619 to Kofi, but Chad Gable ended up pulling Rey out, and Chad Gable locked in the ankle lock on Rey. So that led to the War Raiders end up hitting Kofi with a springboard clothesline German suplex, and they end up going for the cover, and they go. The War Raiders ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a very good, solid match here with the War Raiders. It was a good way to end the tournament, and the War Raiders will be facing Finn Balor and Jaden McDonough for the World Tag Team Championship. And without a doubt, the War Raiders will be beating Balor and McDonough. I think Balor and McDonough are going to drop the World Tag Team Championships, and they're going to go to the War Raiders. That would be awesome to see the War Raiders as the World Tag Team Champions. And then we saw The Miz. He was backstage with Adam Pearce. And The Miz was demanding to Adam Pearce to know where security is. To which Adam Pearce laughed at The Miz. You know, Adam Pearce was like, The Miz, his security, where is it? So the Final Testament walked up to The Miz. Karrion Kross ended up saying to The Miz that he has a plan. He ended up saying that The Miz will help them find Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy. Kross ended up saying that when Miz finds Bo Dallas, he can ask why. he got involved in his business. And Cross ended up saying that the Miz doesn't find Bo Dallas, he's going to break his legs. And the Miz looked all worried about that. So pretty much that was that. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso was walking backstage to find Sami Zayn, but he couldn't find him. So Jimmy went out of the arena, and he ran into Jay. So Jay ended up asking Jimmy if he's found Sami Zayn, to which Jimmy was like, shh, to Jay. And what we saw was the camera zooming in, and we saw Sami Zayn. He was talking with SIKOA in the parking lot. So Jimmy ended up saying, family is all they've got. And Jay looked a little conflicted about that. So maybe we're going to see Sami Zayn teaming with SIKOA and, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa. Maybe after what went down earlier in the night, where Jay was saying to Sami, "Oh, you're not family." So probably that's basically that. Main event: Damian Priest versus Dominik Mysterio, and we've seen these guys go at it before. Right? This was a decent match, decent main event match. So Dominik ended up attacking Damian Priest from behind, and the match ended up getting in the way. We had Priest end up throwing Dominik into the corner and started clubbing and kicking Dominik down. Priest then uppercutted Dominik and whipped him into the opposite corner. Priest ended up slapping Dominik's hand away because Dominik was begging Priest off. And Priest started punching Dominik. Priest then bounced Dominik off the middle turnbuckle, and he sent Dominik into the ropes. Dominik ended up tripping Priest into position, and he ended up going for the 619. Priest then popped up and kicked Dominik down. Priest then ended up sending Dominik over the top rope. He went to the outside and whipped Dominik into the barricade. Priest then scooped Dominik up, but Dominik ended up sliding off of Priest, and he ended up sending Priest into the ring post. Dominik then got into the ring and delivered a suicide dive to Priest. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Dominik was in control of the match. Dominik ended up doing the Three Amigos to Priest, and Priest countered out of the third Three Amigo, and he ended up hitting the Broken Arrow to Dominik. So Priest started striking and kicking away at Dominik, and he took him down. Priest then backed up, and he hit a run back elbow to Dominik, which was followed up by a flatliner. He ended up going for the cover, and Dominik ended up kicking out. So Priest ended up going to the outside. He ended up pouncing Dominik over the commentary table. So Liv Morgan ended up running down, and she distracted the ref. Carlito and JD McDonough ended up attacking Priest. Finn Balor was nowhere to be found. And pretty much with this happening, we knew right then and there that Dominik was going to get the win. Because we all know the Judgment Day's got to come out there to distract and help one of their guys get a victory. So Priest ended up fighting Carlito and McDonough off. He ended up hitting Carlito and McDonough with the steel chair. Priest ended up getting Carlito into the ring, and Priest ended up smashing JD McDonough twice with the steel chair. Priest then ended up hitting Carlito with the steel chair to his midsection, and then Priest smashed the steel chair on Carlito's back. Raquel Rodriguez pulled Carlito out of the ring, and that led to Dominik ended up rolling Priest up, and there you go. Dominik Mysterio ended up winning the match, thanks to his pals in the Judgment Day. So post-match, Priest was irate that he lost the match, that he was distracted by what was going on with the Judgment Day on the outside. So Priest ended up grabbing Dominik, and he delivered the Razor's Edge to Dominik. Liv Morgan got into the ring to check on Dom. Priest got into the ring, and he started beating Dominik down with the steel chair. So Priest ended up furiously leaving the ring. He then stopped. Priest then pulled his straps down. He got back to the ring. Carlito ended up running into the ring. Priest took Carlito out with the South of Heaven. Priest then grabbed Dominik by his throat, and he ended up delivering a South of Heaven to Dominik. And pretty much that was basically how Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, this was a decent main event here between Damian Priest and Dominik, but we saw them go at it before. But overall, Monday Night Raw was a good show tonight, but it did nothing to hype us up for Crown Jewel this Saturday. But anyway, that's it for my review of tonight's Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Be sure to check out my previous video, which was my movie review of The Bad Seed, if you guys haven't seen it. And I'll see you all on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. I know I didn't do a Dynamite review last week because the show absolutely was fucking awful for those 2 hours. And I hope Dynamite this Wednesday will deliver. Hopefully. So, probably see you all Wednesday for Dynamite if the show is good. If it's awful for those 2 hours, not going to cover it. Because AEW's creative has been absolutely fucking awful. But we'll see. But if I do see you all on Wednesday, there will be a Dynamite review. So, see you all then.